If you're like me, at some point in your life, you've had a Domino's, more likely you've ordered it from the app. And in which case, you know what the customer experience of Domino's is like, which is why I'm extremely excited about this interview. Welcome to Jam TV. I'm Dan Mellins-Cohen, and today we are going to be talking about the Domino's e-commerce platform, how it all fits together, how that works in a customer experience context. And like I said, I'm very excited to dive deep into this, so let's get straight in and welcome Stu Jones, the head of digital products from Domino's.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
I'm totally a fan here. And I'm not even joking. I've been enjoying, whatever you think of their pizzas, the app experience is phenomenal, and it's been something that's been aggressively developed over the years as well. And very much it feels like you're at the forefront of that kind of technology. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you do and your involvement with that?
So I'm the head of digital product, so I look after the digital experiences for the web and the app. And obviously over the last few years, like you mentioned, the app experience has really accelerated, and we've really tried to put the emphasis on creating that experience for our customers because they love it and they want it, and all our feedback we get back is related to the experience on the app. So you can see, there's a reason that we're pushing traffic to the app, and there's a reason that we're giving people a really strong rationale to go there as well. We think it's a great experience and our customers love it.
So one of those things that I see as using the app is you're constantly asked for feedback and how can we make this better? Is this meeting your expectations? How does that feedback loop work?
It's a really interesting question. I've worked on different apps before, and I think at Domino's, we genuinely do care about that information that comes in. So one of the real benefits of being on a app store is that you get that feedback loop in terms of app store reviews and in terms of community management as well. So one of the kind of channels that we maximize the most is that community management piece. So not only do we ask for the in-app experience, and we take that seriously when we receive it, but we also try to respond to people who are commenting inside the app as well. So if they say on the App Store they've had a poor experience, we're really invested in that, and we want you to come back as well. What's difficult with any kind of feedback loop is trying to capture the good as well as the bad. So what you want to try and do is make sure it's not just about complain when you've had a bad experience, but tell us when you've had a good one as well. And so we can optimize that good experience, and we can also kind of reduce the number of bad experiences that people have.
Absolutely. So something that I find fascinating with something like a restaurant chain like Domino's, you're working as a national chain, but each individual franchise has to work on an extremely hyper-local level. And as we know from all the flyers that come through the door with the deals that only work in your local store, how do you make that work? How do you develop an app that works and satisfies people on a local level when you have to deploy it?
It's an interesting question, and I think unless you kind of know the franchise model as a customer, and lots of our customers don't, they see it as one experience, it's very hard to try and articulate some of those challenges around, like you've just described. How do you create that singular experience? The power is really giving the autonomy to the franchisee to make the decision. So we'll have the national deal, and we'll talk about the national deal, we'll advertise that, but actually then there is the autonomy for the franchisee to target their local community in a way that speaks to them. They know better than a kind of head office will about what's appealing to their local customer. And they've got employers that are really kind of working hard to understand that community sentiment around the brand, and also to try and figure out what competitive landscape looks like. It's going to differ everywhere. So that's why I think, like you said, if you get something through the door, you could drive 10 miles down the road to a friend's house, they've got a different deal to you. But the challenge for us on an app is trying to make it not feel jarring. And so the autonomy is in the right place. It's with the people who understand that local community. There's also obviously local marketing that we specialize in as well, but it's acknowledging the existence and the necessity to communicate locally.
Well, on that note, I was actually wondering because obviously a lot, as the main company, one of your customer bases is actually the franchisee themselves.
Absolutely, yeah.
How do you get buy-in for all this new technology? It must be difficult when all you want to do is run a pizza shop and what feels like every week there's well, here's a new thing you need to learn to add to your arsenal.
It's it's a really well observed question. I think it's about trying to make sure, and it's a cliche thing to say around taking people on a journey, but when I come into the business, I'm a digital first person. I live in that digital filter bubble. it's around the appreciation that actually this business isn't a business that has been built on a digital backbone, right? It's been built on great customer service and delivering pizzas of high quality fast to people. And so therefore, the challenge that I have as a digital person in this space is to really sell that vision of what the future can look like and try and get that buy-in, not just through a kind of, fancy kind of images and things that kind of attract and using buzzwords of the moment, especially, talking around AI. What's great about the franchisee community is they don't want to hear the bullshit, if you like. They want to know exactly what it means for them, because they are very savvy business people who really understand how to run this business, and they really want to make sure that what they're investing in is going to have that return back. So it keeps you sharp as a digital person, right? Because it keeps you honest, and it cuts out that fluff. And I think in that there is some kind of beauty in being able to be a kind of, to operate in a business that scrutinizes the kind of necessity of digital to the way it does.
Yeah, interesting. So, considering the fact that you are famously early adopters when it comes to customer experience technology, you'll have seen your fair share of both successes and things that maybe didn't work quite so well.
Yeah.
So perhaps if we could start with what we'd say is your proudest feature.
I think, it's a difficult one, because I think when you look at what happens under the hood of Domino's, like you touched on it before, in many ways, I think the proudest feature is we've got a coherent experience which doesn't feel like it necessarily should, if you like, given that there is a lot of complexity that happens underneath it. So I think when people talk about, we're a 4.8 rated star app on the App Store, but we've got lots of complexity. That to me is actually the best achievement we've got. We're satisfying a community of kind of engaged people, and we've built a platform that is sustainable, stable, and actually delivers for the customer. That's, for me, that's what I'm proud of the most. Yeah. So I'd definitely say that.
Amazing. So how do you then decide what ideas to push forward? I mean, to put it in more of a sort of business context, how do you optimize your e-commerce platform to actually not just meet modern expectations, but I think actually surprise people and encourage them to stay with it in a way they wouldn't have thought of?
Yeah, I think it's like, I've worked for similar industries before. The organic growth comes from being customer-led and almost kind of looking at that kind of qual data to drive. You get to a point where you go, we're exhausting that to an extent. And I think the real kind of transformation we've had in the last couple of years is being quant-led and looking at data to try and drive that forward as well. So what we're able to do now is try to bring in both of these kind of real deep dive into customers and personas, but also looking at how that data is translating as well. So data's telling us what people have done, people are telling us what they want. Merging those two together in a seamless way is what keeps us at that kind of innovation phase. But the real answer to the question is, being prepared to take moonshots and being prepared to kind of go, look, we still have a gut feel about this, and we still want to give it that opportunity to kind of succeed. And so if we didn't do that, we wouldn't be innovators. And so I think it's really important to try and kind of not cross too far into one of those verticals of qual and quant, but to stay in that healthy middle space and really kind of, we spoke about the franchisee before. They've lived and breathed this business for so long. What they know about our customer is going to be in excess of what we can ever tell them. So it's actually really important to listen to those signals coming in as well.
So just a couple quick final questions before we wrap up. The first, based on what you were just saying about taking those moonshots.
Yeah.
Can we get a sneak peek of what moonshots are on the horizon?
I think we've always kind of publicly stated that we're going to be looking in the kind of area around loyalty recently, and I think there's lots of insight to say that is the right thing to do, but we have to make sure it's the right thing for us at the right time as well, and so that is something that we're really focused on. I'm always kind of unsure of quite what we can and can't say, but I think our investment in data and using that data in a way that's going to drive an experience forward is something that is kind of self-evident. I think being more kind of putting more emphasis on the app experience as well. I think those kind of three things together are really trying to try and move our dials. But the good news is we're open-minded to whatever comes next. And hopefully I'm here to try and bring in those digital trends into the business and start seeing how we can take advantage of generative AI or currency, or how we can hyper-personalize experiences as well. So I think there's so many more options that have been opened up to us recently with the innovation of tech, and it's how we now capitalize it, as you said, to sort of stay that innovative platform as well.
Brilliant. Well, as you said, you're here to figure that out, so I won't hold you up any longer and let you go back in and find some of those solutions.
Thank you very much.
Along the jam. But one more thing before you go, and this, to be fair, is probably the most important question of the entire interview. Who writes all the dad jokes?
Well, I mean, I know who they are. I know where they are. I think they probty take some kind of steer from me being a dad with terrible jokes. So who knows? Maybe
Well, I
I influence on
salute
another
them.
level.
Stu, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Take care, and of course, thank you all for watching. We will see you on the very next episode. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll see you then. Take care.